Okay, so I'm an 8 clicker, and as you can tell from the title, I'm talking about mystic swords and how useful it is and how to get one. It's not that hard, but I mean, if you just started playing, then you wouldn't really need to know this kind of information. But it's also pretty good to know. We are on tier 4, prestige 7. We've just started tier 4, so we'll probably get a little bit further in our prestiges. But it's pretty simple. So the main way to get the way you're supposed to get a mystic sword is by using the forge. Now, before we talk about all this stuff on our screen, talk about how we get a mystic sword. Now, let's say if we equipped a uncommon sword right here, right? Let me go back to our forge. Here it says we can upgrade our sword to 25. It costs 25 fragments. And what that means is that it will increase its tier by 1. So it'll go from uncommon to rare. And if you do it again, then it'll be to epic. Then again, legendary. Again, heirloom. Then again, it'll be mystic. So you need at least a heirloom weapon to be upgraded into a mystic. And then that's the last upgrade for now. I don't know if they're going to add more, but that's pretty much the upgrade we need to get to heirloom. And it costs 1,000 fragments from heirloom to mystic, and I think it's 500 from legendary to heirloom. So you gotta do quite the grind unless you get lucky and get a heirloom or legendary really early on. Second is how we get fragments. There's 3 ways from what I know right now, 3 ways to get, or 4 to get fragments in the game. One way is by achievements. You can see here if we you see here how some of the rewards now are fragments. So if you have these, check your achievements, and you can get some of these pretty easy. Get some pretty wealthy fragments you can get from here. The second way you can get fragments is by dismantling unwanted swords. So you can see here these uncommons cost 4, so we have to deconstruct another 4 here. And it might seem pretty slow, but if you keep playing over time, it'll add up. You know, getting uncommons is 4 fragments, and then getting uncommon is 1 fragment, and then like a rare is 15. So it does add up over time. Of course, it's pretty simple, and since it's based off of what you got, it's very fast, right? Click and deconstruct the entire time. So yeah, that's pretty much that way. And another way, if you don't have any swords or quickly you're very high level, you're not getting crates. If you have extra crates here, then open up crates, right? Get some swords here and there, right? And then when you open up a bunch of crates and you start to get duplicates, then stop opening up crates and then start dismantling them so you get more fragments. Second way, or the third way to get fragments, from what I can tell, I didn't use this way, but every time you get 10,000 hits in total, you get 10 fragments. So, you know, it hit 100k times, you get 100. So, you know, just keep playing the game with the sword you're using, and you get 10 fragments each, pretty much. The fourth way is just sometimes the developer would release codes, and one of the codes was, I don't remember what it was, but it gave fragments. So maybe I think it was Mystic that gave fragments. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it was. So yeah, that's pretty much all what you need to know about mystic swords, about how to gain fragments and how to actually get a mystic sword. Now, as you can see, as you saw earlier, of what the UI looks like for a mystic sword. So here's what it looks like. It's pretty simple. I'll go over what everything means. So here, you can see that we have our Mystic Dawnbreaker, and every time instead of getting 10 fragments, every time we do get 10,000 hits, we get 1 skill point. And the skill point is used to upgrade a passive on the sword. So for example, we have melee damage, which increases your damage overall, or your sword damage. Coin gain is how much the multiplication of how much coins you get per kill or per hit. And pet damage increases your pet's damage by, just times 2 times 3. Skill damage, increases the not even damage, but just increases it multiplies whatever it needs to be. So like, for example, if you had gold touch, if I was to upgrade skill damage, it would actually add more clicks per second, or clicks or coins per click, and all that stuff. I'm not sure how it affects this one. It might add more to it. So since it says times 3, melee damage, I'm sure it'll be plus 14, so it'll be times 17 instead of that. Then this one with energy per minute, so every minute you get energy, which I don't really have any way to show that right now because I don't have actually room to show that. But what we have here is that every time you upgrade it, you get 12. I get 12, so it's plus 1. So if you upgrade it one time, it'd be 3. So you get quicker, pretty much, energy consumption. Now that's good. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, this sword, getting this sword for a late game is probably the best thing you need to do if you're stuck on like stage like 600 or something. And it is pretty tough to get past it. This is like your main way to really get out of those stages. This is like the weapon you need, and you know, play a lot because since passively you can earn skill points, as you can see here, 10,000 per hit. You get 1 skill point, and then like I forgot to mention, you can spend 100 fragments for 1 skill point. So if you do, you can still farm for swords if you want, or and deconstruct them, and you'll get more skill points just by buying them pretty much. So for example, if we choose here, I'm gonna choose we have 1 skill point, and we're gonna upgrade our skill damage. Now I'll explain why. So there's a couple upgrades which I would recommend what you want to get first. So we'll talk about that. So for example, as you see here, we have 49 billion coins per click, and we click skill damage up, and it increases it by a little bit. So it adds up over time. So let's talk about one last thing we'll talk about is what do you want to upgrade first? Now the first thing is that upgrading your melee damage is probably the most important one because that's what you're going to be using the most, obviously. If you're upgrading from like times 2, times 3, times 4, you'll see a big difference in your damage. But after a while, times 5, times 6, times 7, you won't see a huge increase in damage over time. I'm sure getting to like times 50, you might see a big difference. But times like after times 2, times 3, times 3, you won't see a big difference. I think same for everything. Anything after times 2, times 3, times 4, you won't see a big difference in damage or increase. But it adds up. So I did melee damage first, then I did some coin gain after, like a little bit, like maybe like a ratio of like 50-50. I'm not 50-50, like 730. So like I have like 7 melee damage multiplier and have like 4 or 3 coin gain. And after a while, when you get to like stage 600 or stage 650, you don't do enough damage. So your main resource of doing damage is using the Fury skill here, which increases your melee damage, and that's where you can pretty much kill eggs faster and get further into the stage. And then after a while, when you don't do enough damage because you need money to level up, then you need to pretty much use gold touch to get money, and then you level yourself up and you do more damage. Then you rotate back to Fury, and then use Fury again, but you do more damage because you leveled up. So it's a back and forth kind of thing. So once you get that far, upgrading your skill damage is important because you need to do more damage, and also gives you more coins per click when you upgrade the multiplier. So that's really good. So, but if you're doing that, then you also have to upgrade your energy per minute, because obviously, if you want to be playing, you want to earn a decent amount of energy while you're clicking, so that you can be efficient and be fast. If you don't upgrade it, then it'll be super slow, and you're not, because at a certain point, every time you upgrade a skill, it increases in energy. So if you want to get a really high amount of coins, then you want to upgrade it to the max you want, and it'll be like 96. So if I get 3 per minute, you're never going to make any progress. So you're gonna have to upgrade your energy per minute at least a couple times to really feel like it'll be efficient. And I think that's pretty much it. That's like pretty much how we're able to get pretty far in the game. I don't know. We're coasting right now. We're trying to get back to where we were. I think it's pretty much more for everybody who plays the game. I don't know. We'll see. I'll follow the game still, but I don't know. There's one last thing I forgot to talk about. So there is one big benefit of getting Mystic Sword. Like I mean, all of the other things do benefit from the game. So like just getting those passive buffs and upgrading everything. But the one big change, the big thing is that before, when using a sword, if you want to increase your damage, you have to upgrade your level and upgrade your sword, and then both will be pretty much increase your damage by times 2. The big difference is that you don't actually level up your sword anymore. It's actually based off your own level. So when I upgrade my level, it increases the level of my sword. So I don't really have to worry about upgrading both. So it basically cuts the price in half, and you do times 2 more damage because your sword does like the same damage as you do, pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty good. If you need a Mystic Sword, it costs less. It probably does more damage. I don't know. Probably does. I wouldn't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully it helps. If you get some questions, I can always answer more. But the game's pretty simple. It does get pretty hard, but I think if you're stuck, you want to go and try to farm for this. This is probably one of the more important things to get if you're really far into the game. This is a big boost in your level, pretty much. So, like I said, hopefully this helps. I don't know. It might not, but yeah.